Hello everyone, welcome to Toxiscandia, stories of a toxicologist living in Scandinavia. Since 2011 I have moved from one country to another 3 times and I have already made videos about that on my channel. I will leave links to them in the description to this video. To be short and to sum up, I'll just say that in 2011 I moved from Russia to Finland. Then in 2020 I moved from Finland to Sweden, and in 2022 I moved from Sweden to Norway. Now I live in Norway. And I have told you all about my journey, and today we're going a little bit back to my time when I first came to Finland, and we will be talking about job search in Finland, my experience with that. And I will tell you about 3 parts of my life when I was searching for a job in Finland. Very different parts, very different contexts, and very different experience. So if you are interested in that, please continue watching this video. As I already said, I am a toxicologist now, but I have not always been a toxicologist. I have changed my occupation also a couple of times. So let's start with the first part of this video on job search, which I call first job search without anything. And this actually is not completely true, but as I said, I am a toxicologist now, but I have not always been one. And when I first came to Finland in 2011, I have just graduated from university in Moscow in Russia as a teacher of Russian language and literature. And I have also learned some Finnish, on very basic level there in the university, so I knew some Finnish when I came to Finland. I moved to Finland with my husband, who was doing his PhD there. He's also a Russian. And at first the idea was, since I already speak some Finnish, I am a Russian teacher, so the plan was that I would search for a job in this field in Finland. And since these 2 countries are neighboring countries, Finland and Russia, and there was a lot of business going on both sides, and also a lot of people interested in learning Russian, the idea was that it would be quite easy to find something, but it was not. And why I call this first search without anything, because I didn't have any European education, not Finnish education, so it was only Russian education, which is not very appreciated in Europe, I should say. And then I didn't have any job experience in Finland, which is probably even more important factor here, why this job search didn't succeed. Although I managed to find some things, I will tell you about it a bit later. So when I first arrived, I was quite eager to find something, and I was actually quite anxious about that, because I didn't want to just stay home and do nothing and be afraid of my future. So I started looking for a job from day one, and mainly of course on internet. 2011, although it was 13 years ago, internet was already there, so I could just look up different ads. I could speak Finnish, so I could understand also ads in Finnish. I knew the websites where I should go and look for stuff, and I was doing that. I didn't count, to be fair, but I actually sent out dozens of CVs, maybe even close to 100, even more, I don't know. But I was sending around 5 to 10 CVs per day for at least 6 months. And yeah, it was ongoing search for anything that would suit me. I was looking for jobs of teacher of Russian language and literature, not in schools, because you would need a special license, you would need local education for that, but just private teachers in some firms or anywhere where they are needed. Also, I was looking for anything related to Russian that didn't require any special skills, like I don't know, a shopping assistant that spoke Russian. There were some ads like that, because there were many Russian tourists. Also, any firms doing business with Russia, they were sometimes looking for people competent in that language, and maybe with some experience in some things. I have had some experience as a private tutor in Russia, so that's some job experience, not like zero. So I was sending out a lot of applications. At some point I realized that, okay, I shouldn't maybe just focus on Russian. I should send out actually anything that I found. So everything that would suit me in any ways, that didn't have any requirements that I couldn't fulfill, I sent out that application. And it was quite fruitless, I should say. I did get some responses. I even have been to 2 interviews, but they didn't end with anything good. In one firm, they just wanted to talk to me because they were interested in my story, I guess. How I got from one of the probably the most prestigious university in Moscow to searching any kind of job in Finland. So they just invited me and talked to me about that. Another guy who invited me to an interview was an owner of a cafe, and he told me that I'm in a pretty deep shit because I don't have any documents like hygiene passport or anything like that I would need to work in these places. So he would prefer, or he is searching for a person who already has all these things, and for me it would be extremely difficult to find anything, which was partially true. But actually, to do many things, like to get a tax card in Finland, you need to already have some kind of job. It's not difficult to get one, but you get a job first, then you go to the tax agency and then get this card. And for some employers, it's somehow an obstacle if person doesn't have one at the moment. But I didn't have like a lot of stuff that normal people did. I had a legal status and everything, but since we first came for only 8 months, like my husband's contract was for 8 months, like financed PhD period. So I didn't have like a long-term visa or anything, only for this 8 months. So that's why it was a restriction for me. So this was quite sad story, I should say, and I was pretty stressed after a couple of months. I got myself an anxiety disorder. I had to go to the doctor, start taking medication, so this was actually not a good experience for me. Although I managed to find some things to do. I already told you that I worked as a private tutor in Russia, so I decided to do that in Finland too, just to find some people who wanted some private tutoring. And I actually managed to find some Russian students or people who wanted to learn Finnish, because I spoke some Finnish, I could teach them. And also vice versa, I found 2 Finnish students who wanted to learn Russian. And I didn't make much money on that, but it was quite a good contribution to our family budget, and also something to do for me, not to just sit at home. So this was actually a good experience, I should say. And if I could go back there, maybe I should have focused more on preparing myself to study and to do something else than just searching for a job. And maybe I could have taken more students like that and just keep myself busy and not go into full anxiety modus. So this is quite difficult experience, I should say. So everyone who is starting like that, I feel for you and I wish you all the best. And maybe you should think more strategically what you are going to do in the future. Maybe shift your priorities a bit and maybe go study something. So this could be actually more fruitful than just searching for a job without anything. Part 2, search during studies. This is actually more optimistic part, because here I actually started to get quite good jobs. And if you watched my first video about move from Russia to Finland, you probably know that at some point I decided to go study something else. And I started my bachelor's in biomedical laboratory science in 2012, so the next year after we came. I was very interested in medical area, and this was actually perfect for me because it was quite good job for introvert, just sitting in the lab. Although I had to go out and talk to patients too, as it turned out, because lab scientists also also take samples in Finland. So there are full-time jobs when you are just sitting there and taking blood samples the whole day, which is quite difficult for those who don't like to talk to people, but it was very useful for me to brush up my Finnish, but it's a bit different story. So when I started my studies, I knew that in this field I would definitely find jobs, but I didn't realize that it would happen so fast. Actually, after first year of studying, you're already kind of licensed to work on taking samples, blood samples and other samples from people. After my first year of studies, I already got a job in a healthcare center lab, and I was doing that. Which was a bit difficult, of course, but with my Finnish, I mean, but it was very useful. How did I find that job? In this field, applying for a job via internet doesn't work that well. It's more done like through training periods that we get. We got few weeks of training period in the real world each year, and when on the first year I went to this training to take blood samples, they actually offered me a job there on spot. So this is how most of my classmates got their first jobs. Some of them also applied for them because there are some summer jobs available for those who are studying different fields. And you can also apply officially and get some offers. And I think everyone who wanted to have a summer job got one. So this is actually a place to be if you want to be guaranteed a job. I would actually very recommend medical field if you are interested in that. But in Finland, the pay is not that good. It's actually way worse than in other Scandinavian countries. So be aware of that if you're not a doctor. I mean, if you are other medical personnel. But in terms of finding a job, it's super easy. It will just pour on you from all the sides. Even if you are not experienced, if you are students, still they have such a shortage of personnel. So it was very easy for me to find my first job. After I had that job during the summer, actually the same people offered me to do some part-time work during the academic year, and I was doing that. I was coming when someone was ill and substituting for them. So this actually started very well, and the next summer I did the work for the same boss, but she was actually boss of several places, not in the healthcare center this time, but in the hospital. It was actually a horrible place to be because the hospital had an extreme shortage of nurses, and then the patients were lying there like without any help, and I was just there to take some labs, some blood, and I was not trained, for example, to move the patients, to escort them to the toilet. I didn't know what to do if they would fall or something, so I was not allowed actually to do anything of this. But they of course asked me, and they were crying, they were shouting from their rooms into the corridor. It was actually horrible, and there were a lot of people with dementia, and one of the patients even hit me. It was not physically bad, it was just like very light, but it was psychologically very scary because I was really scared to go out there the next day and the next months. And this summer job was quite horrible, but it actually taught me a lot, of course, with techniques of blood drawing, because these people were lying there in the hospital for many weeks or months, and their blood vessels were quite going bad, and it was a challenge to take the blood from them. So it was actually, in some ways, it was very useful, but psychologically very draining. During my third year of studies, I actually worked for one private company drawing blood samples in pharmacies, and this was also distributed through our emails internally between the students, and I just wrote an email to them and got accepted for that. And it was super easy during the studies to find part-time jobs, to find summer jobs. The third year of my summer jobs, I actually agreed to one, and then I got another offer that was much better, but since I had already agreed to one, and I couldn't accept the other one. Both I just got through the trainings that I did So I haven't actually applied to anything officially during my study years. It was just all coming through other routes. And the last semester, it was 3.5 years, my bachelor. In the last semester, I was working 60%, so it was quite a lot, part-time job. We were just writing our bachelor's thesis, so it didn't take 100% of my time, so I could work. And this was very, very good for me in terms of money, in terms of experience. And also I could do something with my time, because I didn't spend all my time on writing the thesis. So it was quite a good journey. And everyone who is studying in medical field, I think they would get the same experience, because the shortage is so bad, shortage of personnel. So you would get job offers everywhere you go. You just step out of your house, you get a job offer. I'm joking, of course, but it's more or less like that. And part number 3 of this story is search after studies and further. Actually, I only searched for a job like normally, like a normal person, only once, when I was finishing my studies and I wanted to find a permanent job. And then also once I changed the job, actually from permanent to temporary one, but yeah, I'll tell you a bit later. So when I was finishing my studies, I was already working part-time, but it was in another city, which was not ideal. I had to spend a lot of time commuting. So I wanted to find something else, and also something permanent. And I was applying like normally through the website that has all these ads. And I got some replies and some interviews. And one that I actually got finally was in private clinic, in the lab, drawing samples and doing also some kind of urgent analytics there in the lab. And this one I didn't get at first. They invited me to the interview. Everything went well, but they chose another person. But in 3 weeks after that, the boss, my future boss, called me and told me that they have another position and they would be happy to have me. So this is how I got my permanent job. And I was working there for a year. I should say that it was quite a good job. I don't have much to complain, other than just working with people, with patients. It was not ideal for me. I wanted actually to do more of the lab work individually. And I also had a dream to work in bacteriology lab. This was my dream job. I did some training there. I also asked about positions when I was doing training during studies, but they didn't have anything available at that time. And I wrote them after I finished my studies if they had any jobs available. Nothing. And then a year in my new permanent job, there was a merge of our clinic with another one. So there was some kind of restructurization coming, and it was a bit scary because there could be some changes that we maybe wouldn't be good for us, like firing people or anything. They didn't explicitly say that, and maybe they didn't even fire anyone in the end, but still it was a bit nervous situation. So I just decided to go and look for another job opportunities, not like very seriously, like just I want out, but just to look what's out there. And I saw 3 positions open, 3 temporary positions open in this bacteriology lab that I wanted so bad. So I of course applied. I got temporary position for a year. Funny fact that one of my colleagues working in the same private clinic, she also got the job there. So it's actually 2 of us who left to another job. We left together. And I was changing permanent contract to a temporary one because I wanted that job so bad. It was much better in terms of professional growth. I knew that the lab is quite big. It's about 60 employees, so there will be someone leaving, someone retiring, so I would probably get their position. And in 2 years, actually, after working on temporary contracts, 1 year, and then I got extended for a year, I got a permanent one, and I worked on the permanent one for 2 more years, and then I quit and went to study to my master's to be a toxicologist. And there my journey in a job search in Finland ends in my jobs in Finland, and I start studying, and then I started working in Norway, so this is not related to this topic anymore. But what I could say in general about all my searches, you actually need to come prepared if you want to find a job in Finland. It's much easier to find a job if you already have some experience, job experience in Finland, because they really appreciate local experience, even if it was just short jobs. So if you get any short contracts, go for them, and then you could use them in your further search for a permanent job. And if you don't have local education, it's also not very good. You should maybe consider taking some courses, at least something that would tie you to some institutions in Finland. So they would really appreciate local education, local job experience. Also, Finnish language is a plus, of course, dependent on the field. In medical field, it's almost 100% needed. If it's something else like technical, maybe not, but it would be beneficial to speak at least some Finnish. And of course, don't give up, and maybe try different ways to find a job, not only applying. If it doesn't bring you a result, maybe you should shift your view a bit, go to study something, go to some short contracts, some temporary jobs, and then maybe you would be able to find something more permanent. And this is my experience. If this video was useful to you, if you liked it, please push the like button. You could also push notification button, and you would get notifications about my other videos on this channel. I wish you all a very good day. Please stay strong and healthy, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like